Welcome in, latest episode of That SEC Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined, as always, by international Cracker Barrel star cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on the Twitter machine. What's up, yo, Tennessee Homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, I can tell we got a one hell of a mailbag lined up for the folks, Shane, but I know it's football time because we got so many great questions coming our way. We're going to try to give priority to the members, so don't forget, if you haven't already joined up for the YouTube membership, it's just $4.99 a month. It's completely optional, but we're trying to do everything in our power to make it worth that $4.99. But what also is worth your time, Shane, is MyBookie. Don't forget. Proudly presented by MyBookie, second year in a row. Head on over, if you haven't already, mybookie.ag, the online sports book. Shane, with that promo code, that SEC, that's THAT-SEC. They're giving out all kinds of sign-up bonuses today for college football season, buddy. It's week 0. We finally made it. These games this weekend may be awful, aside from one, but it's college football, and we're going to watch every second of it. You know what?
Absolutely, brother. How can you not be excited? How can you not be pumped up, brother? The other day I got up, and it was actually chilly in the morning. I was like, oh, Betty, it is fall, man. It is fall time. I told you last week my wife, she put up all this pumpkin stuff and fall stuff in the house, but it was tough to kind of get my mind around it because it was still 95 degrees outside. But, man, I woke up the other morning, and it wasn't frost on the car, but might as well have been. And I was like, baby, we are back.
No doubt, brother. Well, hey, you know who is, it's an exciting time, but it may not be an exciting time for old Miami of Ohio. They're pissed off at Alabama. Let's kick it over. This is Miami, Ohio head coach. I don't even know his damn name, Shane. I got it written down here, but it doesn't matter. He's calling out Alabama. His name's Chuck Martin. He completely blasts Alabama for stealing their kicker. Let's kick it over to old Chuck Martin here.
All right, special teams, lost your kicker. Carter McLaughlin.
We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know
I understand.
We know exactly where he's at. You media people, it's all pretend. Like, no, Alabama stole our kicker. They illegally recruited our kicker and stole him from us, and like that's a fact. But but we act like it's not. We live in this la world. Like, hey, let's not talk. I don't know why everybody knows what's going on. So, yeah, Alabama stole our kicker. A couple other schools tried to steal it, but then okay. What's the question?
Oh, buddy. Firing shots at old Kalen DeBeor in Alabama. I said it best, Shane, I think. Different coach, same old cheating Alabama. I mean, Nick Saban, if you missed it, he did a hell of a job during the draft and all that, but he just let it be known. Because he doesn't give a damn. He's not a coach anymore. I can't remember the guy's name, but I think it was a corner from some school. And he said, that was our number one portal target. And they said, well, Coach, he didn't get it in the portal. He's like, oh, I know. Yeah, so they've been cheating for years down there at Alabama. This is just the latest sign of it. Miami, Ohio coach is pissed.
Absolutely. But, I mean, who'd want to play with that crybaby anyway? We all had that kid in our class, always telling the teacher what happened when they were gone. So, yeah, no. But adios. I'm sure they'll need him more in Alabama.
Dauber says it best. Miami of Ohio, the worst Miami of all time. And then, real quick, so Kalen DeBeor, he responded. Shane, he was asked about it. He plays the, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, card.
Get started. The Miami of Ohio coach accused you guys of tampering with the recruitment of Graham Nicholson. Do you have a response to that?
I don't know anything about that, I guess, that comment. I mean, he entered the portal and we reached out to him. So that's how it goes, right? So we did everything the way you're supposed to.
Next question. But
Next.
I kid you. I mean, everybody's doing this. I don't like that they're doing it, but it's going everywhere. And apparently this kid was he was on his way to Oregon, apparently. Or I don't know if he was on his way to Oregon, but Oregon was doing the same damn thing, trying to get him to get in the portal, come play at Oregon. We all know Alabama's a hell of a lot better program than Oregon, so he made the wise choice. He won the kicker, I think it's called the Lou Groza Award last year, Alabama had a hell of a kicker. Now they've got the reigning Lou Groza Award winner. So in the end of the, I mean, this is no big deal, but I understand being pissed if you're Miami, Ohio coach and Alabama's taking your kicker. You know what?
I mean, it's a business. I mean, take football out of it for just a second here. I mean, he's got an agent probably that helped him land this job. We heard a similar story. What was it, Arkansas? Was it the Arkansas kid that had to go somewhere for like 2 weeks before he could bounce again? So you're hearing some of this coming out, but they're just trying to get what's best for the kid. You know, is staying in Miami, Ohio best for that kid? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how many times they're going to need a kick. I don't know how good the offense is, but I guarantee he's going to get plenty of airtime down there in Tuscaloosa. And ultimately, that is the goal, is to get this kid the best life possible. So, yeah.
Sticking up for Alabama. All right, how about this one, Shane? Appreciate you, ZOV. I was on a Texas show this morning, Shane, and they let me know that this is tradition, so we got to get on board with it. They say, hey, what time is it? And whatever time it is, they say the time. They says, oh, and OU still sucks. So that's he says, great show this morning, Mike. It's 6:05, and yep, Oklahoma still sucks, and so do the Aggies. Hook 'em, horns always. So appreciate you for that donation, but I just want to give a little backstory there.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm learning this as we go, brother.
And speaking of cheating, we got one more clip, then we'll get to the mailbag. We got so many great mailbag questions here. This is Travis Williams, the Arkansas defensive coordinator. He was there last year. This is year 2, but he was asked about sign stealing, and I thought he gave a really interesting answer and was very transparent. He said, not Michigan. We ain't Michigan level, but this has been going on. It's pretty awesome.
Coach Petrino said yesterday that this sign, like trying to get signs, has been going on a long time. Do you have any funny stories, or I guess I don't know. What's your take on how much time do coaching staff spend on trying to interpret what's happening over on that other sideline?
Oh, a lot. Like, it's so funny. You'll be shocked. During the week, I know offense all around the country. They're going to get the TV copy, and they're looking at the signals. Yeah, just one person. That's your only job. Look at the signals. And then, boom, we can't get the defensive signals. Okay, well, let's see what the defensive players are signaling. Then they'll try to get it that way. You know, so they got different ways. I remember we played Louisville, and he was really good. And I saw the TV copy, and I could just see the whole time he's just like this. Just watching. And in the halftime, they got the signals. So we played him the next year. I was at UCF. We played him that next year, and I got his contact, and I called him. Like, hey, man, I need to. And he sent me the whole thing. And he said, this is what we had. And it was like 80% correct. So we had to change our signals because they just pass it around. So they're just sending it to the next. So we played SMU and Rhett Lashley to them, and they had the same signals. I wasn't mad that he sent it around. I would have been mad if we didn't change it. So it's huge, like, just signals, and it's perfectly legal. I know teams right now that have 2 guys on the field, because you usually have them in the box. So you know, at the times you see a lot of these teams behind the actual team, they put out these big curtains behind it. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't be doing it. 80% of the teams in America, when they signal, they pull out the big curtain behind so the guys in the press box can't get them. Well, they done smarten up. They done put them on the field. So they got 2 guys, and they just sit here and try to get it. So you got to have ways of hiding your signals, you know. So you can always know, like, when a play happens, you go, hey, man, they got our signals. Because it's just like the perfect play. You just know. All over college football. So that's not, man, it's nothing new. It's not one of those deals where it's like unethical or something like that. Like, they do it. You just, if you're crazy enough to keep the same signals, that's on you. So
that's like playing Cousin Shane in the video game. It's like he's got your damn signals. He's that good at it.
Brother, it's like playing South Carolina in 22, brother. That's what it's like. Oh, they were a little too dialed in that night, Mike.
All right, Shane, you ready to tackle these mailbag questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, how about this one from loyal listener here, Michael Riley, big Florida guy. Just outstanding. He always brings it with a good question. What legendary coach or player would you love to have on the podcast to interview? I just absolutely love that question.
What legendary coach would we love to have on the podcast?
Or player, you know.
Well, I think I'll just go coach first. I think the first one, I saw him the other day. I gave him a hard time because he kept calling Jalen DeBeor, the quarterback there at Alabama. But I think having Coach Spurrier on would be pretty damn fun, Mike. I ain't going to lie. Just to kind of pick his brain. I mean, he's from up this way, Science Hill, one of the worst football fields I've ever seen in my entire life. No wonder he got the hell out of this state. But I will tell you, brother, I would love to kind of just pick his brain and just hear some of the backdoor banter that they've come across.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good one, Shane. I didn't think about that. I'd love to have Nick Saban on if he'd be honest. I think he'd be the best get you could possibly get. I'm trying to think of any others.
I think he's still too close. You know, he's
right
with ESPN. He's just maybe like 5 years from now. You know, he starts slipping a little bit. You know, because he's not been in media.
Or probably my runner up, and you could agree or disagree if this guy's legendary or not, but. Give me Coach O. I'd love to have him because I think he would be. Because he gives no damns. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I think he would say whatever the hell he feels like saying.
Now, is there a player maybe you'd like to sit down and talk with?
Probably Johnny Manziel. I've always been a huge Manziel fan. If we can get the backstory on some of these things that went down, I think that would be tremendous. Tim Tebow. I'd love to talk to Tim Tebow as well.
Manning, come on. Gotta have a little. I know. I gotta have the sheriff on at least once. You know, hell, I'd like to have both him and Eli. I like when they're together on their show. I think that they got a lot of humor and cutting loose and stuff like that. I think it could be pretty damn fun.
Right. Oh, we got another donation here, Shane. He says, SEC Mike, say something nice about my Tigers, but he doesn't say which Tigers here. There's so many damn Tigers out here.
That's true.
I think it must be an LSU fan.
I'm trying to judge from the photo too. It's not really helping. Not helping there.
So I appreciate you, Serene and Keen. Let us know what Tigers you're talking about here, and someone help them with the membership. Because hell, I don't know the answer either. There should be a join button down there. Some people say they don't see it. So
I'm seeing it on the computer and the laptop, but I don't see it sometimes on my iOS device. So I don't know if it's an iOS thing or maybe you have to have an Android or something like that. But once you're in, you're in.
All right, he's an LSU guy. He says.
Say something nice about the LSU Tigers, Mike.
Here's the nicest thing I could say, and this is not like groundbreaking or anything, but I mean, it's not even damn close. The best atmosphere for a game day that I've ever experienced in my life, Tiger Stadium. It's not even comparable to any other venue that I've ever been to. If you haven't been to an LSU game, particularly a night game, I highly recommend it. Good luck if you're an opposing fan. But hell, I went. It was Ole Miss and LSU, so we just went on a whim, my dad and I, and it was awesome.
Shit, something else nice since we're on LSU. I think Coach O, I mean, how awesome would that be to have a couple cold beers with that man? You know, he's fun sober. Could you imagine having about 4 or 5 Coors Light with us?
All right, how about this question, Shane? Our good buddy Kelly Ford, K Ford Rankings. Give him a follow if you're not already. He does an outstanding job all season long on college football. But here's his question, Shane. Of the following teams, which has the best chance to make the SEC championship this season? LSU, Mizzou, Tennessee, Ole Miss, or Texas A&M? Who has the best chance to make the SEC championship out of those teams?
Mike. That is a very good question. Because I'm going back and forth between two teams right now. Damn it, Mike. This is the one that I'm going with. It's those two teams, Ole Miss and Mizzou. I'm going back and forth. Couple of reasons. I think they're both uber talented, but more importantly, I love the schedule. I love Mizzou's schedule a little bit more, so I'm finding the path a little bit easier for those guys. I think 2024, one of the benefits that Mizzou also has is that they have an experienced offense. And with that, I don't think there's going to be some of those growing pains early in the season. Now, what it comes down to for me is just figuring out the defense. And we just got to have some sort of life over there. I'm not looking for a steel curtain or anything like that, but as long as you do your job and stay in your lane, I really do think Mizzou kind of has their own destiny created here.
Yeah. Cousin Benjamin says, I'm pulling a Cousin Shane, showing up late. My bad, cousins. But so you go with Mizzou. I'll just go with someone different, just to be a little different. I'll go Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. The reason I'll cite one of the reasons you just mentioned. The staff continuity is big for me,
right?
And everybody gets enamored with the guys they've added via the portal, but for some reason they look away from the guys they're returning from last year's team. Hell, they had a hell of a unit. The problem is they do face Georgia, and it is in Oxford, but potentially losing that game may knock you out.
Yeah.
No, it may not. I mean, then it would likely be you and Georgia again. If they could find a way to beat Georgia, they're a lock for the SEC championship. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, man. Not even close. That's going to be the game, but still, I see a scenario that Ole Miss just could lose that one and still be maybe playing Georgia again. There's that scenario.
Yeah. All right. How about this one, Shane? From the barn door. What a name. Love that name. And you know which way he wants us to go based on that name. But considering where these programs are today, who would you rather buy stock in for the best upside for the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Texas A&M, Auburn, or Kentucky?
Give me Texas A&M here, Mike.
Oh my God. I thought you hated A&M.
No, I'm talking. He said long term. Now, if we're talking short term, I think Auburn's on that right path now. I love their recruiting class. I love giving Hugh Freeze a little time, which Mike's not going to do. But we're talking longevity here. We're talking over multiple years. I think A&M's got everything you need, brother. All you need is the right coach and the right players, and they have no trouble finding the players. It's just getting them coached up well, and I think Elko is the guy. They got everything, brother. They got the NIL. They got anything you need. The competitive edge to be, a championship ball club. A&M has. Auburn kind of has. They've got an awesome environment. They got the NIL. You're starting to see that with the recruiting. Kentucky, I just feel like they got too many things going against them to compete with those two programs.
Yeah, well, you went with A&M, Shane, and you are absolutely wrong, Shane. I'm going with my guy, Hugh Freeze. As long as we keep him off a cell phone and get some hand jobs or whatever the hell he's doing down there, you know what I mean? Hey, this is documented. This is not me making up rumors. But again, if we can keep him on a straight and narrow, which there is no guarantee on that.
Yeah.
Give me Auburn, because they've got a head start on A&M.
Yeah.
Everything you just said about A&M, I don't disagree. But can Mike Elko handle this job? It's a lot different than Duke. Now, he crushed it at Duke, but it was only 2 years. He crushed it as A&M's defensive coordinator. So, the track record's there. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of these coaches that come into this conference with a track record and think they can do it. So, would it surprise me if it's A&M? No. But at least we've got the momentum at Auburn. We got the recruiting going. Now, this answer could change in about 6 weeks' time when we actually have some games to go off of. But he said, as of today, give me Auburn to be that team.
Trying to get back into it and burn it down at the same time. I love it, Mike.
How about this one from Cousin DJ? How do y'all feel about a G5 team getting into the college football playoff? I can't imagine the chaos of leaving a 10-2 SEC team out. Howdy, cousins. And for those that don't know, again, maybe you've not been following it as closely as, obviously we have. The way it's going to work is the highest, I think it's, what is it, 4 or 5 playoff or conference championships.
Yeah.
Get in. And they're also going to include the highest ranked G5 conference champion. Mm-hmm. So we could have a scenario, sadly, Shane, where this is probably not going to happen, but like a 9-3 Sun Belt team.
Yeah.
But if they're ranked 24th, they're in the playoff. You know what I mean? Again, they'll probably have to be 12-0 or something crazy like that. But, I'm not crazy about it, Shane, but I'm also not crazy about a team that goes undefeated, that wins their conference, and we got 12 teams in the playoff, and then we just say, well, Good try, little buddy. You know, I mean, like that seems un-American to me. Like, at least give him a shot. Make him go on the road. Go to Georgia. You can beat Georgia, that you can win a national championship. But otherwise, you're going to lose by 40, 50 points to whoever we sacrifice you to in the SEC.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, Mike. I say one gets in. One of the things I saw floating around out there was possibly having a kind of quote-unquote NIL tournament going on the same time the playoffs are going. I think that would be kind of cool to have maybe some more G5 teams involved in that. Also some teams that maybe missed the playoffs. So I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition, but I think that would be something. But I feel like one team, let them in, you know?
How about this one from Torin here, Shane? Appreciate you, brother. Hey, cuz, Shane, question for you. Which one of them bottles behind you is coming down after UK wins the Bourbon Bet this season?
I've got one actually over here. It's already open. So I go to every now and then, but I like these right here. I've had on a couple of these for several years now, so it's kind of sentimental, man. I'm afraid to open it up, but me and Mike tested out a few last year, so I've already got the seal broke on those.
Right. Cousin Ryan says, SEC Mike Hugh Free's been hanging out with Rush Probst and Mike Price in them Alabama hotel rooms.
Oh, not touching that one, Mike.
All right, how about this question, Shane? Really good one here from cousin Jim Martin.
Hey, Jim.
What athletic event is cousin Shane willing to do this year when them mighty Gators take down his team in Knoxville? The stakes are higher at home. Keep that in mind. And you've already went public with this, but I want people like cousin Jim, who's unaware, to be up to date on cousin Shane's latest bet.
One of the craziest things about walking 13 miles last year, because that's what I did after the Georgia or the Florida Tennessee game. I said, if Tennessee loses, I'm going to walk a mile for every point. I never thought it would happen, man. And then I thought, brother, I was begging, please God, kick a field goal, because I thought there'd be 3 miles less I'd have to walk the next day. So I ended up doing 13 miles. But one of the things I regret was not doing 0.1 more. That would have been a half marathon. I started seeing these little now that I've done it, you'll start seeing these little numbers on these vehicles, and I never knew what that was. I thought it was a Bible verse or something, but come to find out, it's actually a half marathon. So I'd like to throw one of those in the back of the truck, and I'll throw that on there only if Tennessee somehow miraculously loses in Knoxville. And I've already got one picked out. It's in Seymour, so I'm going to have. I've got a couple of friends that have already asked, hey, if we do it, let's do this one. So, and they're a lot healthier than I am, but at least they could like make sure I stay alive during this thing.
And I cannot stress enough to all the cousins out there, just the anger from this man. If you go back and watch that Tennessee game against Florida, they had opportunities late in the game to kick field goals.
Yeah,
they were dropping passes. I don't think he really even cared about the outcome of the game. He just wanted to shave 3 miles here, 6 miles there. That's all he was concerned about.
Because we were in the red zone there at the tail end of it. You guys probably don't remember because it didn't matter, but it did matter to some people out there. But, there's that moment in a game when you just accept defeat. We've all been there. Like you hold that like, oh man, if we just get this and maybe an onside kick or something like that. But then there comes that moment you're like, yeah, we're out. But if you got money on the game, you're trying to get the spread or something like that. So then you're kind of booking it up here, But that's what makes it a little bit extra exciting. And, buddy, it was exciting until it wasn't. So 13 miles didn't sound like a lot. 13. You say 13. It's such a small number. But when you're talking miles, man, and you're a big guy like me, brother, I got up 4 o'clock doing the thing.
He did it nonstop. This was not
my wife came out. You came out.
Yeah.
I think somebody else came out. Paramedics or something. I don't know. I was airlifted.
How about this question, Shane? I like this one. The Big Vol Broski.
Hey.
You have your pick out of one of these 3 to be your next head coach. Who you taking? Lane Kiffin, Josh Heupel, or Eli Drinkwitz?
Oh, damn. That is a good one. Man, I think they're all perfect where they're at. But if you're starting fresh, you need a new coach. Give me Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
I just know that, I'm going to have some great years, but I'm going to have some awesome years. I feel like there's moments like Drink. I think if he continues down this path, I think we look back, 4 or 5 years, down the road and say, yeah, that's the guy I want. I think Heupel is another one. You looked at the success he had in 22. You look at what he's building up to this point. I think there's that moment. But Lane Kiffin's got that thing that just naturally draws you to it. And it doesn't matter where he's at. You just know he's going to be successful. He started out terrible. USC, the Raiders, all that stuff, that didn't work out. But it was almost like ever since Nick Saban took him under his wing, he grew up and he realized he could be awesome at this. And that's why I like Lane Kiffin here.
Right. And fair or not, Shane, this is not a shot at Josh Heupel.
No.
But I agree with you 100%. I would say Lane Kiffin. But not that you hold it against him, but like Tennessee's red hot on the recruiting trail, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to. It'd be completely asinine to sit here and say, "Well, Heupel's got nothing to do with that." But let's say he was the coach at. I'm trying to pick like West Virginia. Mm-hmm. Would they have an elite recruiting class? I think not. If Josh Heupel was the coach, I think it's a combination of outstanding Tennessee fans and tradition and NIL and all those pieces put together. So, I mean, it's a perfect combo, particularly replacing the dumbass that he replaced that was couldn't score 13 points in an SEC game. You come in here and hire Heupel and you're scoring 40. So, I mean, it's like a perfect storm of a perfect coach at a perfect situation. But I don't know. I even like at Ole Miss, they don't have like a top 5 recruiting class right now, but they're not letting them. That's not stopping them.
Yeah.
They're looking at the current rules and they're taking advantage of them. And again, same thing. You can kind of be and while Drake is he's kind of both. He is taking advantage of the rules. He is recruiting well. He is building that program up. So I mean, there's really no wrong answer here. And
the only can I say this? The only thing about Heupel is he's got some big games under his belt too. And one of the things, the knock on Lane Kiffin is, he hasn't got the Georgia. He hasn't beat the Alabamas. He's gotten close. But you look at Heupel did that. He did it when he was at UCF. He's shown even with a less talented football team can knock off one of these Goliaths of the league. So the more we talk about that, I'm like a 1A, 1B situation with those guys. I just feel like if you take Lane, you're always going to have a good team. You're always going to be, at least on cutting edge of not cheating, but like you're always going to be right there of any rule. And sometimes that's what's going to win some football games. But you can't argue the fact that Heupel's won some big ones. Oh, yeah.
All right. How about this one, Shane, from Andrew Lyon? I like this one. This is a straight South Carolina question, so I'm going to throw up their schedule here. Which team does South Carolina have a better chance of defeating this season? Kentucky or LSU? And Kentucky's on the road in Lexington, second week of the season. LSU's at home in Columbia, week 3. So which one do you think South Carolina's got a better shot at knocking off, Shane?
Week 2, September 7th, Kentucky. I think that's your game. I feel like this is truly a coin toss type game. Now that we've got a quarterback established, I would like to think that you kind of let Sellers loose here. They're going to keep them tight and under the everything under the vest with ODU. They're not going to need that much week 1. I feel like it's going to be like the coming out party for that team. And also, as high as I am on Kentucky, there's still, we don't know what we got with Brock. And if Brock folds under pressure, then all of a sudden Kentucky's not as good as I thought they were, and South Carolina just kind of launches into that season, and I think makes LSU a more intriguing matchup.
Right, and speaking of pressure, it's not just Brock, Shane. I think it's on Mark Stoops, and I think it's on this Kentucky program. After dropping 2 in a row to South Carolina, and they hate South Carolina, Beamer Bowl, sunglasses, and all this. I mean, he's made it no secret that he's not a huge fan of Beamer. So they're losing ground to him, at least on the field. This is one you gotta swing back. And if you were gonna say, who's under more pressure, South Carolina at Kentucky, I think South Carolina's playing with house money because only South Carolina fans are going to be thinking they can win that football game. So, not that means I'm leaning one way or another right now, but I think the pressure is on Kentucky to deliver, particularly after last season. I know they won the Louisville game, but I believe they've lost the 5 previous.
Yeah.
So we might be sitting here and saying, God, that Louisville game was an outlier, and we are trending in the wrong direction. It's just a lot of pressure on Kentucky. So I think Kentucky's the answer there too.
Who has more pressure, Coach Stoops in Kentucky or the biscuit maker at Cracker Barrel when I walk in?
I think the biscuit maker. I think that's a safe way to go. You know. Well, and then we got one more, South Carolina from Majoran here. How many wins guarantees Shane Beamer will return for another season? Is it, the over-under's 5.5? Is it that magical 6 number? Does he need to make a bowl game after missing a bowl game last year? Made a bowl game the first 2 years, missed it last year. Can he afford to miss a bowl game for a second year in a row?
Mike, I think the number here is 5. Even though 5.5 is the over under, I'm looking at 5 because I'm looking at ODU. I'm looking at the Zips. These are games you can't lose. Right. These are like you have to win. You lose either one of these, I think you fire him. Honestly, so ODU, the Zips, Vandy, and Wofford. Those are your 4 games you have to win, and that also means you've got to catch one more. So is it a Kentucky? Is it a A&M? Is it a Mizzou or Clemson or something like that, which is not easy, Mike, but I feel like you really got to take a long look in the mirror and say, what the hell are we if we can't beat any team that is ranked or maybe projected to win? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I don't know that the hot seat is that hot for Shane Beamer, to be quite honest with you. The recruiting's going pretty well. I think his problem, though, potentially is his hiring. We still don't know what they have in offensive coordinator Dal Loggins. Their defensive coordinator Clayton White, had a pretty solid reputation, but I'd say mixed results is a fair way to put it. Now, he had one hell of a hire in Pete Limbo, the special teams coordinator, but now he's gone again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unknowns with the coaching staff as well. They've got to show something this year. If they go 4-8, I think they may move on from them. But yeah. I think 5 and 7. I think you bring him back. I really do.
Is there like a 5th win that you wouldn't like? So I think Kentucky would be the closest matchup that they would have. Maybe A&M. I don't know. I still think it's just going to be Kentucky. But let's say they lose to Kentucky, and no, let's say they beat Kentucky. Let's say this scenario, they go 5 wins, right? But they lose everything else. They lose to LSU. They lose to Ole Miss, Bama, Oklahoma, A&M. That's 4 weeks in a row. Mizzou, Clemson at the end. I mean, do you truly bring him back 5 wins? I feel like that's still too high. I told you, everybody says Stoops is, on pressure. They say Napier's under pressure. They say Sam's under pressure, but I don't think enough people are talking about this. I think his odds right now are like 21-1 or something like that. I believe is or 19-1 for the first coach fired. So I'm looking at it, brother. If they drop Kentucky, let's just say this scenario happens. ODU, Kentucky. Then they got LSU. Let's say they lose that. So it's Kentucky, LSU. Mm-hmm. Then they go Ole Miss, Bama, Oklahoma, A&M. Brother, before going to Vandy, I think that's a good time to make a switch. And if you lose to Vandy, brother, see ya. Sayonara, Shane. Can only be one in the SEC. It's this guy.
Oh man, you hate Shane. I love Shane. Bring him back. I say he's back. I say they surprise somebody.
There's 15 teams that want him back. There's one that's trying to argue why he should stay.
Oh my goodness, Shane. Well, don't listen to Cousin Shane. Listen to me. And my next piece of advice, Shane, again, head on over to mybookie.ag today. Put in that promo code that SEC, THAT for a sign-up bonus over at the best online sports book out there, MyBookie, proud presenting sponsor of this show. 2 football seasons in a row. Helped us show stay independent forever. Head on over to mybookie.ag today. Sign up for a free account. Don't forget that promo code, that SEC. All right, how about this? Oh, man, you're going to like this one, Shane.
I've liked them all so far.
Cajun Okie. What a name. What will SEC teams, and I think he's really saying the fans and all that, long-time SEC fans, what will their opinion be of Oklahoma and Texas by the end of the season? What's your thoughts on that, Shane? What will SEC fans, what will be the common perception of Oklahoma and Texas after the season?
Yeah, I feel like, because you got to, in this scenario, it's got to play out like I think it will. And I feel like at the end of this year, they're going to say Oklahoma is a physical team. They got a very talented quarterback. This is a team that people should worry about moving forward, because right now they may not be getting the respect they deserve. Texas, on the other hand, I feel like you're going to say they're there. They've got the same schedule next year. This is, go ahead and get your bets in. This is going to be another college football playoff team. So this is one of the blue bloods. That's kind of where I'm at here. I feel like Texas is going to hit the ground running. I love the schedule. I love the players. I'm kind of indifferent on Sark right now, but all that goes to the wayside if you go out here and you do exactly what I think you can do, and that is compete for an SEC championship and a playoff run. So, I feel like we're gonna have 2 great football teams moving forward in the SEC.
Right, and I can almost guarantee you, Shane, they're going to beat someone that you don't anticipate that they'll beat. And I would almost guarantee you that they'll lose to someone you don't anticipate them losing.
Yeah.
Because it's just the SEC. But my thoughts, by the end of the year, they're just part of the family. You know what I mean? Like, until you've been out there to Norman, Oklahoma, and you've seen that Coliseum they got there, and you see that beautiful campus and all the statues to champions and Heisman winners and elite coaches. I mean, it is a sight to behold. And the same thing about Texas. I know I give him a hard time, but I love Austin, and they have, we have seen it, Shane, where, you could kind of question at times, how good was that home field advantage? Mm-hmm. Remember, 2 years ago when Alabama went down, it looked like a damn madhouse down there, and Alabama was rattled. And if not for some highly questionable calls, Texas would have won that football game, should have won that football, should have beat Alabama's ass 2 years in a row, if we're being honest. But, I just think, will Texas get up for that, for the non-conference? Probably not, but every single one of these home games, Shane, Mississippi State, Georgia, of course, Florida, Kentucky. I mean, I think these are going to be insane atmospheres just because the newness of it all. And it's going to be the same deal when they hit the road. Well, obviously, A&M and Arkansas, I can't imagine what that place is going to be like on November 16th when Texas comes to town. Same exact thing when Tennessee goes to Oklahoma and South Carolina goes to Oklahoma, and, oh, my God, Alabama goes to Oklahoma. I mean, these fans are going to be feeling it with these great fans that are going to be getting treated, Shane. I mean, this season is like a gift from God, Shane, from all these games that we got here. I'm just so excited about it.
Yeah, they're kind of like stray dogs too, though. Right now, you brought them home. You hope they don't make a mess and chew on things, and just be good. And then after a while, they'll start going on rides with you and be a part of the family. But for the time being, they're sleeping on the porch. You know what I'm saying?
And then there's people like Liquid. I'm just giving him a hard time, but he says I'm still not used to Missouri and A&M in the SEC. I mean, I've heard some people say Arkansas, South Carolina. It's like, oh, come on.
Absolutely. It's not been the same since, Swanee left, All
right, how about this one, Shane, from Harry Carey? We've got some devout state fans here. I'm going to throw up their schedule. How many years will it take for Mississippi State to recover from the Zach Arnett mistake? Firing Leach's coaching staff and scrapping the offense seemed to set them back years. Yes and no. And this year, I mean, I've made no bones about it. I truly think. I mean, I just try to give my honest opinion.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a rough year, and the SEC didn't do them any damn favors with Florida maybe Florida. You can argue they could beat Florida, but then back to back at Texas, at Georgia. I mean, my God! And let's just throw in at Tennessee and at Ole Miss. I mean, those could be the 4 teams that make playoff.
Yeah,
and you're going on the road. You know what I mean? And that's before we get to A&M and Mizzou and Arkansas and all these. They set them up for failure. And the old system, Shane, where you had to. This is why I get so mad at Billy Napier and why I disagree a little bit with the way Hugh Freeze is doing it. Just that's the old school way.
Yeah.
And by year 3, by year 4, these coaches, I think some of them are in the mindset that we can have 4 or 5 years and we can build this up. But in this new era, Shane, you can turn over the roster overnight. And that's what Mississippi State's done. They've utilized the portal. So I think they could get back a lot quicker than ever.
Yeah.
I mean, when Heupel took over at Tennessee, it was a disaster, Shane. There were sanctions, 30 players hit the portal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Barrett Sallee wrote, it'll be 12 years before Tennessee makes a bowl game.
Yeah.
And it was the first year. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it can be done. And I realize not every situation is the same, but let's see what we have in Jeff Lebby. Let's see what we have in offense. And if the offense does what I think it can do, I think Mississippi State could be a solid contender, a threat like they've always been in 3 years' time.
3 years, man. I'm kind of leaning here. Where's that? Right there. 10 years. That's how
years? Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding. Calm down, State. I feel like in not so distant past, they were 8-win programs, 9-win teams. There's a history of being very, very good at football, and I don't think it's as big of a rebuild as it would have been 10 years ago. Like you said, now that you've got the transfer portal, now that you've got all the stuff in place to kind of hit the ground running. And one thing I like about State is the schedule. Not so much this year, but next year. You're looking at Ole Miss, possibly a rebuild. You're looking at Mizzou, possibly a rebuild. Teams that look really, really good on paper now may not look as good next year, as they're trying to find their footing. So I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to kind of catapult yourself, make yourself known. This is audition. All you're doing is auditioning for kids that are looking for a home in the portal. And if you can land a few of those, then all of a sudden you're competitive, you got competitive depth. And I feel like year 3, we're going to be back to the 8-9 win mark.
Yeah, and I just think it can happen sooner than ever, Shane. And again, we get down on these teams, and then 6 months later, we're like, what in the hell were we thinking? You know what I mean? I mean, hell, 6 months ago, Texas A&M thought they were on their way to a national championship with Jimbo Fisher. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, his ass is out the door. It can happen in a hurry. It really can. Six. That's probably a year ago. A year ago, Mizzou fans were out on drink.
Yeah.
Now he's the top 5 coach in the SEC, according, and by God, he may be number 1. You know what I mean? Like, that's how quickly it could change on you.
Yeah, we weren't having that. You remember that 3-coach question? That didn't exist last year. I mean, but now it is. And then does that change next year? So that's the beautiful thing about this conference. It's going to change. It's going to change regardless whether you like it or not. It's either your team's going to get better or worse. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and you're down now, but there's been many years State was down and then bounced back to 10. Hell, I remember the year they were first for a little while, It can happen. Not this year, but definitely year 3. You can hit this program in I would say 7-8 games.
Now, how about this one, Shane? This is going to get us in trouble. But we got to go with one here. Critical Sooner fan, who wins the SEC first? Texas A&M, or them mighty Oklahoma Sooners? Right? He's a critical fan, so he probably don't even want me saying that. But who wins the conference first? Texas A&M, or Oklahoma?
Well, Mike, it's 7:45, and Oklahoma still sucks. Give me Texas, baby.
Oh my God, what is the matter with you?
I'm thinking just this year, man. I feel like Texas has got the team this year. But, if Texas messes around and loses a couple games early and then Oklahoma stays in this thing, I like the longevity of the Sooners. I really I'm not sold on Venables. I'm not yet, but I do like the defense. I do like how physical it is. I love the recruiting trail here. These boys are they're going to be neck and neck with a lot of the SEC programs. I think Jackson is the dude. I feel like in 2 years' time, we're going to be talking about him and Manning going back and forth. And be honest with you, as much as I love the Mannings, I still like a mobile quarterback, and that's one thing that Jackson will be bringing to this football team. So no, I'm just saying Texas this year, but if they mess up, then all of a sudden it's a coin toss between these two programs.
Shane. Are you sure we're related with these Texas love you got running through your veins?
How many
here?
Texas shows you got to do to come on over to the dark side, Mike?
Well, Shane, I like to disagree with you, so I think I'll let the audience know that the answer is Texas. Come on, man. It has to be Texas over here. Just where the programs are right now. Now, if Oklahoma comes out here and beats Texas again,
yeah,
and just looks the part and that O-line gels, then the answer is probably Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
If A&M got them a Jim and Mike Elko and they come out here and kick some ass, again, I don't know that there's a bad answer here. I think all three of these have the resources, the fan base, the NIL, everything you need, the ability to bring in talent. I mean, these are top 10 recruiters annually. But just where things stand today, I mean, I almost have to say Texas. I think everything you said is correct.
Oh, can you say it again? A little louder for the folks in the back that can't hear. I'm not. Again, we're splitting hairs, Mike.
Yeah.
This isn't a definitive thing for me. Oklahoma didn't come over here to play second fiddle to no one. They came over here. They're expecting this. I think at this point, they understand that they're not respected as much as they thought they should be, walking in with all those national championships and Heisman winners and stuff like that. But it's 2024. It's a clean slate. Nobody gives a shit what happened in the 80s or 70s or 60s. That doesn't matter anymore. We're talking about now and moving forward. And this is a program that is recruiting with the other teams we talk about winning SEC championships. This is a team that has the structure, the infrastructure to compete with these boys. This is a program that all it takes is a few things lining up just right, and then all of a sudden Oklahoma's back on top of the world. So I'm not saying I'm picking Texas just because of now. I'm not saying Oklahoma can't be there, and by God, they may be. They may surprise us all, Mike.
Right, and I'll put it this way, Shane. Of those three fan bases, I hear not it's not every one of them or anything, but the kind of can we achieve blank?
Mm-hmm.
Texas, I hear, can we win the national championship? I'm not hearing A&M and Oklahoma fans asking that right now. They're asking, can we make the playoff? Do you have us as a playoff team? And they're right there. But the fact that Texas is wondering, hey, can we win the whole damn thing right now? I think that's your answer right now of just the current state of those three programs. And like I said, that could change in 6 games when we get some results. You know what?
And I haven't mentioned A&M as much in this segment, but again, I feel like A&M had its shot. And that's why I'm maybe a little bit further down on them. I've projected them to have opportunities the last 2 football seasons, and they didn't. So maybe they surprise us all and do it this year, but they too have what it takes, because that's what you're looking for. It's like a video game, Mike. When you're building a dynasty, you pick a team at the right place. You chose Mississippi State, I chose Florida. I did it for a reason, because the infrastructure, the recruiting, the money that I can get there. You know what I'm saying? The history that's provided, and that's why we kicked you out of the SEC, a couple of years later. So it's tough to succeed. But I'm just saying this as to say, A&M has had ample opportunity. They've had the money, they've had the coaches, and they just kind of shot themselves in the foot along the way. So can Elko be the guy? Maybe. I'm just not going to say, oh, he did well at Duke, so he's going to do well here.
I will. Hey, shout out Cousin John.
Thanks, cuz.
He gave us $20.
Cuz.
No question there, John, but we do appreciate you. They're saying cousin Shane is my real cousin down there. And I think they just saw your runs of 14-240 too. All right, how about OU Sooners SEC? Gotta love that name. What do you think here, Shane? Do we think Oklahoma? Do you think they want Josh Heupel back? He's saying a complete hypothetical here, and they gave him the keys to the palace, is how he wrote it. Would Josh Heupel take the job or stay at the real UT, Tennessee?
So say that one more time.
Would Josh Heupel leave for Oklahoma if they offered him, or would he stay at Tennessee?
I don't think so. And I'm not basing it off any personal conversations I had with him, but he didn't leave on the best of terms last year. And this is a question that got brought up several times at media days to just about every Oklahoma cat that came to the table. But I truly, just from their reactions, I don't think that it would happen. But the biggest one for me, man, is just the core of coaches. You got to remember who was the athletic director that brought him there. And then you're looking at the baseball team. You're looking at the basketball team. At the baseball tournament, it was kind of cool seeing these three guys hanging out like a brotherhood. So I feel like they're good. Where else would you want to go? I think Vitella is another one that had opportunities to go. They wanted him. I think I would venture at Texas at least reached out or made a couple of phone calls to get him down there. But these boys are settled in, and that's what you want to hear if you're a Tennessee fan.
Right. And again, Shane, I mean, these narratives are always out there. Will Mark Stoops go to Iowa? Will Heupel go to Oklahoma? Will so-and-so go back, insert where they came from? You know what I mean? But it just rarely works out like that. And I mean, it's like a dream scenario, but again, it just Nick Saban didn't go to Alabama. You know what I mean? No one gave a damn. Urban Meyer, he wasn't from Florida. I just don't know that these. It's almost like if he were to go to Oklahoma and fail, then then they may start hating him.
Yeah.
Whereas I think he's known there as a legend, as he should be, last quarterback to win a national championship for the Oklahoma Sooners. But I think he's got Tennessee rolling. Now, if it's different if Tennessee starts struggling, and I don't even know if Oklahoma would want him at that point in time. But if they offered him and Tennessee was kind of floundering, maybe because a lot of these coaches want to stay ahead of getting fired.
Yeah,
I could see that scenario. But hell, Shane, I think Heupel just had a down year and he went 9-4. Imagine what an up year. I mean, hell, we've already seen it. 11 wins. And now in a playoff era, they would have been a playoff team. The way they're recruiting, specifically at the quarterback position, they're going to have many playoff seasons to come if they can keep it up. So, no, I honestly, I think Josh Heupel's better off where he is than going home to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think that it would have to be a tremendous amount of money or a locked-in contract type deal. Or like you said, there's something going on this side. Maybe we're about to go on probation again. One of those things. But other than that, I feel like that I think Heupel's pretty settled in.
Right. How about this one, Shane?
Of course, I'm just saying that as a Tennessee homer, and I don't want him to go to Oklahoma. Just willing it to existence, Mike.
Oh, baby, we just got a $50 one.
Oh, thanks, cuz.
Cousin Rick, one of our most loyal listeners here. Cousin Shane, quit living in the past. Yeah, exactly, Rick. Look at the schedules. Aggies outperforming TU and OU. And, he's right. For all this talk of Texas A&M's struggling, like Shane just said, and can't do this, can't do that. Since they've come to the SEC, Shane, they're the fifth most winningest program in this mighty conference. And you might say, well, fifth, that ain't so great. Well, look who's ahead of them. It's Alabama, the dynasty of all dynasties, greatest dynasty in college football history, in my opinion. You got Georgia right there. It's won multiple national championships. You got LSU's won multiple national championships. I mean, this ain't, a bunch of garbage teams that's in front of them. And that next tier is right there is A&M. They're knocking at the door. Now, they haven't kicked it in, obviously. That's why they keep firing their coaches. But, they are knocking at the door. And if they finally have a good coach from Mike Elko, I'm changing my answer. Shane, come on, it's Texas A&M. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, no, I ain't pandering, Rick. I do appreciate the donation, and that's going to buy me a lot of Cracker Barrel later. But I'm just, it's an area. That's where we're at. It's not like you're convincing me that Vanderbilt has a shot in 10 years. You know, this is a team that has always been on the fringe, that will always be on the fringe. But all it takes is a couple players. It takes a Johnny Manziel. It takes a Elko being the guy. It takes Lady Luck. Something. It takes something to kind of get at that momentum. You know, I look at Kirby and what he's doing in Georgia. Georgia's always recruited well just because of where they're at. But also, it's momentum. Once you're on top of that wave, if you can stay on that wave, you know, the recruits keep coming in, you're just building and building and building something. And I feel like if A&M can put 2 or 3 seasons together, then all of a sudden we can look at the Aggies as the dominant force, you know, on the west side of Mississippi.
And Chicken wants you to know, Shane, the SEC ain't ready for Sooner magic. I'm telling you, God,
I can't wait to see him. So remember, I'll be there November 9th in Columbia, Mizzou. So I want to hit all the. I hear they travel well too. That's one of the things I've heard. Sooner fans travel well. So I'd like to meet some of them, their tents, see what they're drinking over there.
And that's going to be the best part, isn't it, Shane? Where Oklahoma and Texas fans getting to experience all these locations that they may have never been.
Yeah.
And SEC fans getting to experience Norman and Austin where they may have never been. I mean, I'm telling you, there's not a bad place to visit.
No, there's nothing like it. You've enjoyed your experience up to this point, but when you start bouncing around the SEC, looking at these cathedrals that you're going to be walking into, I mean, it's going to blow your mind. The passion, the pageantry of the SEC. So if I'm an Oklahoma fan or a Texas fan, by God, I am booking every road trip that I can get in there.
Cousin John says you'll hear him before you see him, Shane. All they do is Cousin John. All right, how about this one, Shane? You'll like this one. I love this name too. Stink is his name. What's more likely? Georgia goes 16-0, or Cousin Shane on time for 16 straight podcasts.
Damn, I don't know. So I have a time in my mind. And I don't know why I don't just adjust it. I keep saying, hey, 10 minutes before, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to get set up, and I'm going to just pretend that nothing's wrong. Like today, I get in here, and then as soon as I turn the light, get everything going, my mic, the weights that are holding this mic stand just went down, fell down. I'm like, golly. So maybe I should get on 15 minutes early. So for the time being, I'm going to say Georgia's 16-0. I'm already making excuses for the next show, Mike.
I see what you're doing there. Okay, how about this one from Red Strip? Who is most likely to miss the playoff? Tennessee, Ole Miss, or Mizzou? Most likely to miss the playoff.
Can you pull Tennessee up? Point Tennessee schedule up. One of the things we talked about the other day, you know, how many wins do you have to get in the playoffs? And we made the argument that Tennessee 10-2's in. But we also made the argument that Mizzou 11-1 may get left out.
Right.
So
not 11-1, 10-2 could get left out.
10-2, yeah, I'm sorry. 11-1 get in, 10-2 get left out. So man, just as easy as I told you Mizzou could get in, it's that thin, boys and girls. I feel like you got to win. There's the only forgive me game is October 26th. I think that's the forgive me game. But you lose to A&M, you lose to Oklahoma late in the season, then all of a sudden you're on the fringe, you're on the bubble. So,
but a lot of those same things you could say about Ole Miss. You know, they get a forgive me game against Georgia.
Yeah, but I think the games that you would be talking about, LSU, Oklahoma, are still in October. So you still got a chance to kind of win out. It's just the Georgia game. And, again, Georgia's like that forgive me game. And I don't know. I feel like Ole Miss 10-2 gets in. Mizzou 10-2 is going to be a little bit tougher. So
most likely to miss, you think Mizzou?
I don't know. I don't like to answer any of these questions. Why do you got all these tough questions? It's supposed to be fun. Ask me what I'm eating at Cracker Barrel and shit like that. Now we're like, yeah. No, I think that's going to be my answer. I feel like Tennessee is. I don't know, man. It's the homerism in me. When I'm looking at I'm not worried about NC State. I feel like they could beat Oklahoma. It's like Alabama and Georgia are the two football games that are going to give you a fit. And if you lose those two, you're still in. So that's kind of where I'm at. I just feel like Mizzou, there's just something inside that you're just like, man, don't fumble. Don't screw up. Because if you miss one, then you're out. And, shit, maybe I'll go Tennessee. It's just... It hurts my soul, Mike. It hurts my soul.
I think that's the answer. But I think they can all do it.
Look how long I talked not to say it,
Hey, I wanted to highlight this one from Cousin Kim. Yet Cousin Shane is never late for Cracker Barrel.
That's right. There's never actually 4 to 6. They got a half dinner, $8.99 special.
How about this one from Austin? Appreciate you, Austin.
Thanks, cuz.
What do you think the likelihood good Ole Miss beats Georgia? Also, I really think they could easily end with 1 to 2 losses with their schedule. What do you think? Good Ole Miss beats Georgia.
Is likely? Do you think Ole Miss beating Georgia is likely? And could you easily see them 1 to 2 losses in their schedule?
I think he's saying Georgia 1 to 2 losses here.
Yeah, go to Georgia real quick. I mean, we've wore out Ole Miss's schedule. I think Georgia 2 losses is intriguing, Mike.
Yeah.
Because this is something that a lot of people haven't been talking about, except SEC Mike, is just how tough this schedule is. You swap this schedule with Mizzou or with an Ole Miss, then all of a sudden you're like, man, shit, I don't know if maybe a 9-3 does make the playoffs. You know? So I see a scenario Georgia loses 2 games.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Ole Miss can beat them. But the problem is, Shane, Kirby gets them guys up for these big ones.
Absolutely.
And it's any time that it's, this is going to be the game where Georgia gets beat here. That's usually when they whoop your ass by about 45 points. So it seems like the best time to catch Georgia is when they're looking ahead or napping or what have you. So that's why it's just smart to sit here and say, let's just chalk that up as a likely loss for every damn team they play.
Yeah.
And even I mean, I guess we're talking out of both sides of our mouth, Shane, but I think we have to do that with Georgia because they're that damn good. But I also think they're going to lose a game or 2. And 2 is probably very unlikely, but I think 1 is likely, if that makes sense.
How would that feel, man? Wouldn't that be great? Just to wake up, what is it, August 22nd, and say, worst case scenario, we lose 1 game, Those bastards.
And thanks to the 12 team, we're locked to get in,
Yeah, they're in. Yeah, they book. They're the ones that book. They're the ones that don't put that insurance on their vacations because they know they're not going to need it.
Hey, hot take here from Cousin Rusty. Appreciate you, brother. Smoking hot take. Shane will be on time for the next show.
Absolutely. I'm coming in early just for you.
You'll like this one, Shane. From Lucid Dreamer. What's your favorite breakfast biscuit from Hardee's?
Ooh, breakfast biscuit from Hardee's, mixing it up. Growing up, Old Faithful for me was the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. It was like a delicacy.
Yeah,
we didn't get that stuff. My parents were broke. We were just poor folks back in, and no, my parents, they worked their asses off. I'm giving them a hard time. Love you, Mom and Dad. But I will say this, brother. As I got older, my wife introduced me to the pork chop biscuit at Hardee's. Total game changer. The only problem is sometimes you get like a little bite and it's got like a little knot in it or something like that. Can't have pork chop biscuit for like 3 weeks after that. Got to go back with Old Faithful. And Old Faithful, I've switched from bacon to sausage. So sausage, egg, and cheese.
There you go. You nailed it. That's the correct answer, Shane. Sausage, egg, and cheese.
I could talk biscuits all day long, Mike. You know that.
We'll stay on that theme.
Biscuit with gravy.
Hold on, Shane. We'll stick with it. G-Unit. He's got a question.
Yeah.
Over under 14.5 number of biscuits Cousin Shane eats at Cracker Barrel per week, not per visit, per week. 14.5.
Let's see. I could tell you. Let's see. I had 3. It's under.
Okay.
But barely. But barely. They got a little stingy on my jelly last time. So I always like to have a biscuit and jelly as we wait. And then they got that little game, you're doing with the little, I don't know what that's called. So we're doing that. I've got one like twice, but my wife or my kid weren't paying attention when I was doing it, so they thought they cheated, so I didn't. I really did it. So, but I'm trying to memorize. I'm like Rain Man, going through all the moves, trying to figure out, how did I do this again? But I'm stuck on this country chicken fried steak platter,
right.
Whatever, breakfast. I know there's a cool name for it, and I just screwed it up. But it also comes with 2 biscuits and gravy, so that's why I'm having a little trouble, because the last 2 visits I had it. So biscuit count is up.
Cousin Rick says biscuit playoffs coming soon.
I'm in.
All right, last one. Trey Tucker always asks some great questions here, and of course this is a 2-parter. I think you'll like the second part better than the first part, Shane. Which team is more likely to fall apart and go 8-4? Texas, Mizzou, or Alabama? And which fan base would take it the hardest? There is no doubt this is an easy answer. I'm not saying they're most likely to go 8-4, but they're most likely to freak out and burn stuff and God knows do what else. That's Alabama. If Absolutely. Alabama regresses to 8-4, all bets are off on what the hell they'd be doing.
Well, they'll be up in Miami stealing some more players. That's what they'll be doing, Mike. Because I'm right there with you. I feel like this is a team that is naturally, it's just going to happen. It's going to take a little step back, and it may not be just the Georgia game. It may be an LSU game. It may be an Oklahoma game, a Tennessee game. There's some losses on this schedule, brother, and I feel like if you're not 10-2, you've disappointed,
right?
And there's a real shot that happens there in Alabama.
And I know you ain't gonna like it, Shane, but most likely to actually go 8-4, give me Texas. I think. Again, I don't think any of these teams are going 8-4. So you're asking me again, who's more likely, Bama, Texas, or Mizzou? I think Texas certainly has more talent than Mizzou, but Mizzou's got such a cake schedule. Mm-hmm. I can't go with them. Maybe it is Alabama, but I would lean Texas.
I'm going Bama. I feel like that's our
fine.
answer.
You can bash. I don't care. You can bash them all you want. And then the second part of Trey's question. This is the part you're really going to love, Shay. No more bad stuff here. Best hole-in-the-wall restaurant, he wants to know, in Morristown for you and Nashville for me.
Oh, man. Hole-in-the-wall, El Churritos. Not a sponsor. They don't even know if they know what I'm saying when I'm in there. But I will tell you, El Churritos has got it going on. It's the best Mexican food this side of the Mississippi. So the chips are great. That's the thing, Mike, with Mexican food. Everybody's got their favorite. We've talked about this. I've been to yours. It's very good, very good. But also, if you don't like the chips and salsa, it's over. That's half the battle. If the chips and salsa aren't hitting, then the rest of the show sucks. So El Churrito's got the best chips and salsa in town. Their salsa verde, chef's kiss, and then you're picking the menu. I don't want to influence anybody. Just jump in there. There's not a bad thing on the menu.
Yeah, and for me, it's Habanero Grill. It's right down the street. I've taken Shane at least once, maybe twice here. I know I've taken the Flying Hawaiian a couple times. There's a lot of really good options, obviously, in Nashville, and a lot of good options in this little area that I live in. It's quickly becoming like the place to be for a lot of bars and restaurants. But my go-to is always the Habanero Grill, and I hooked up Shane with my favorite dish. It's called a maitieta, which means fish and steak, essentially. But
you sure about that?
It's not fish, but it's shrimp and steak is what it was.
Yeah, it was good. It was very, very good. When El Churrito good, but it was pretty damn good. I'm like that, Mike. Whenever I go somewhere, I try to find something that's like in that area. I don't want to eat something that's like a chain restaurant unless it's Cracker Barrel, but because then at least you know what you're going to get. But if I'm there, mom and pop business, that's what I want. I'll never forget, we went to this place in Marco Island, and it was like Libby Fish, and if they didn't catch fish that day, you didn't eat. That's the kind of food I want. You know what I'm saying? Just got off the boat.
Right. Well, Shane, this show's about to get off a boat here because that's all we got.
It's about time for dinner number 2, Mike.
But hey, college football is back. Week 0.
Yes.
This weekend, kick back, drink some beer, watch some college football. It's a little appetizer for some SEC football we're going to have next week. We're gearing up. This is going to be the best season yet. I'm just so excited about it, brother. You got anything else before we close this one out?
No, we're going to talk schedules because, again, we do our shows at 7, so Thursday may be a little bit different. But don't forget, Sunday, we're going to be staying on right after the show and then jumping in with some cold beers, watching the LSU football / game. I feel like a real ass beating's on its way, Mike.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I can't wait for it. Well, as always, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one.
Football's back, baby!